Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes the oldest stories have the most to say about our lives today. And today, we've got one for you. It's an ancient tale, but its message about judgment, generosity, and just how powerful small actions can be, well, it's surprisingly modern.
So, to get to the really powerful moral at the end, we have to start with a man named Bilalapadaka. And get this, he was so consumed by his own ego that he was ready to commit murder over what he thought was an insult. Yeah, pretty intense. All right, let's dive right into this story.
All right, so Section 1, A Tale of Two Neighbors. We're exploring the contrast between generosity and selfishness. And really, that's where this whole story kicks off, in a neighborhood with two guys who could not be more different.
So on one hand, you've got this genuinely generous guy. He's all about community, faith, sharing what he has. In fact, he decides to host a big meal for the Buddha, and he wants everyone, the whole neighborhood, to get in on it. But then, on the other side, you've got his neighbor, Bilalapadaka. He's rich, sure, but his entire world is just built on selfishness and suspicion.
Next up, the stingy donation. A small gift reveals a large suspicion. So you can probably guess how this is going to go, right? How do you think our friend Bilalapadaka reacted when his generous neighbor showed up asking for a little something for the feast?
Well, instead of seeing this as a beautiful act of community, Bilalapadaka just immediately judges him. He looks at his neighbor and sees weakness, failure. He's literally cursing the guy under his breath for, having the nerve to ask for help. It's like his mind just can't even compute the idea of selfless generosity.
So when the neighbor actually knocks on his door, what does he do? He gives the absolute bare minimum. We're talking a little bit of salt, a little honey, a little butter. I mean, the smallest, most insignificant things he could possibly find, just so he could say, yeah, I contributed. Okay, now this is where things really start to spiral. The neighbor, he just gladly accepts this tiny, tiny donation. But, and this is the key, he keeps it separate from everything else. And that one simple act, it's like a spark on gasoline for Bilalapadaka's paranoia. He immediately jumps to the worst possible conclusion. He's thinking, why would he do that? Oh, I know, he's going to humiliate me in front of everyone.
And that brings us to our next section, a plot born of paranoia. You see, this is the crucial point, right? Bilalapadaka literally couldn't imagine a good intention. In his mind, there had to be some cynical, nasty motive behind it all. What he's really doing is projecting his own selfishness onto his neighbor. He's absolutely convinced he's being set up for public humiliation.
So what happens next? Well, his suspicion just completely takes over. First, he sends a servant to go spy on his neighbor. The servant comes back with the report, and it's the truth. He tells him, look, your little donation of salt, honey, and butter, it was used to enhance the flavor of all the dishes. It made everyone's food better. But does Bilalapadaka believe it? Nope. In his paranoid mind, this incredible act of kindness just gets twisted into more proof of a conspiracy. He is 100% convinced it's all just a big trap.
And this, right here, is where his paranoia tips over the edge into something way, way darker. He's so convinced he's about to be shamed that he decides to take matters into his own hands. He makes a plan. If his neighbor says even one word to embarrass him, he's going to kill him, right there on the spot.
Okay, on to the moment of truth, a confrontation of vengeance and virtue. So the next day, everyone's at the community meal. You can just imagine the tension, right? It's at an absolute peak. The stage is totally set for this major confrontation.
So Bilalapadaka shows up, but he's not there for the food or the community spirit. No way. He's got a dagger hidden under his cloak, and he's just waiting, like a snake coiled up, ready to strike at the very first hint of public shaming.
But here's the thing. The shaming he's expecting, it never comes. Not even close. Instead, his neighbor stands up, addresses the Buddha, and gives credit to everyone who helped out. He even makes a special point of it, saying that every single contribution, no matter how small or how large, was given in good faith, and because of that, everyone should share equally in the merit.
And just like that, in that one single moment, Bilalapadaka's whole paranoid world just shatters into a million pieces. The sheer weight of his awful mistake, the fact that he was ready to kill someone, it all just crashes down on him. All that rage just evaporates and collapses into this profound, overwhelming shame. And what does he do? He goes straight to his neighbor and begs him for forgiveness. And that brings us to our final section, the wisdom of small deeds. The Buddha has been watching this whole drama play out, of course. And now he turns to the crowd to share the real core lesson of this entire story.
And his teaching is so simple, but so powerful. He explains that it doesn't matter how small a good deed is. You might think it's not important, but that's where you'd be wrong. What really matters is making a habit of doing good. Because when you habitually do these small deeds, over the long run, they add up and become something huge. It's the constant accumulation of these small, seemingly insignificant actions that builds a life of true merit.
In this idea, the core teaching of the story is just captured so perfectly in this one verse. It basically says, look, don't ever think a small good deed is nothing. Don't ever say, a little will not affect me. Why? Because just like a water jar gets filled up drop by single drop of falling rain, a wise person fills up their life with merit by collecting it little by little. It's such a powerful way to think about how real, profound change actually happens, isn't it?
So the takeaway here is pretty clear, right? A life of wisdom, of merit, it's not about one single grand gesture. It's filled up slowly, drop by drop, with small, consistent acts of kindness and generosity. And that kind of leaves all of us with a simple but pretty important question to think about in our own lives.